So this video is going to be about flying your drone more cinematically, a few things that we can do to really make your footage from kind of blah to ideally wow and really nice and pretty. And it doesn't take a ton. We're not going to get too heavily into everything. There's a few things that we want to make sure we do. Put it in cine mode. We want to make sure we have the app dialed down. So cine mode is actually where we want it to be. We can get into that in a second when I get this drone in the air. But again, that's one big thing. Another thing is sitting somewhere comfortably. If you're just standing sometimes, it isn't comfortable. So be comfortable essentially, whether you're standing or sitting when you're flying. For me, I enjoy sitting down and really having the ability to be comfortable when I'm flying my drones. And also, if you can, find some shade. Shade will help see your LCD or your monitor, or your iPhone, or whatever it may be, your RC Pro, your RC. So being in the shade helps, having your brightness up, having concentration, and all of that kind of helps when you're comfortable. So that's that. So let's get this thing in the air and we'll see what we can do. But you see a lot of people in the beginning, we've all been there. There's nothing to be ashamed of with that. I mean, if I look back 7 years ago when I was flying my Phantom 4 in Hawaii, I really wasn't even focused on flying for smooth movements. I didn't even enter my brain. It was more just to get the drone in the air and fly it around and take a few pictures. That's kind of like, wow, this is awesome. I'm just flying a drone and I can take a picture. So that was awesome. So actually taking video, yeah, you may shoot some video, but it probably wasn't worth you know what, because you just didn't know how to do nice movements. And you see a lot of people and they'll be jerky, it'll be like, choo, 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 and it just looks bad. Choo, 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 choo. But regardless, we'll show that too as well, and we can explain how we can really easily improve upon that without a lot of energy or effort. And a few things to really work on that I think is really great is orbits. Manual orbits really do help with your stick control. I just feel it's a good exercise to get your movements and your control a little bit more finessed. Again, let's get the drone in the air and we'll see what we can come up with. I don't know what we have available to us. We have some trees. Most of the foliage is already fallen. Most of the trees' leaves have already fallen. So we only have dashes of color, splashes of color. But that could be kind of cool if we can isolate maybe a tree in the middle of some dead trees. I don't know, we'll see. But one other thing too, for the people who are contemplating the Classic, this 7x zoom, meaning that second additional lens that you get with the regular Mavic 3, gives you such amazing B-roll footage that to me, that's worth it alone. I mean, I really wouldn't even want this drone if it didn't have that dual camera. So there's your answer for the Classic. I wouldn't buy the Classic, because I wouldn't even buy this drone if it didn't have that second camera ability. I would definitely buy an Autel Evo 2 Pro 6K over this. That's one of the big pros to this drone, is having that 7x additional lens. So, but you know what? The only reason that I think the Classic would be cool or a good thing is if they drop the Air 2S lineup or something. So I digress. Let's go ahead and get flying and have some fun and see what we can come up with in the air, because that's what it's all about. Being away from people, I got a nice clear sky above me, meaning no trees or obstacles. That's one thing. So here, let me screen record. We're gonna get into this, get out of the DJI app. Come on, Fly app, launch. Okay. So now I'm going to start the screen recording with the Fly app. Mind you, I'm sitting down, but I'm not in the shade, but it's all right for the moment. So I'm going to hit Go Fly. I'm going to be near a zone because there's an airport near me. It should give me a warning, but we'll take off. As you see the drones right here, no big deal. Start the props. There we go. We got the attitude zone nearby. Yes. Okay, I'm going to turn off for now obstacle avoidance to stop that annoying beeping. But what I would do Once I get it back into the air, I'll turn it on just to play it safe, especially when I'm doing these videos, because my concentration isn't 110% when I'm talking and doing this. It's just the way my brain works, and I don't think anyone is going to be completely 110% because you're doing something else. So I'm not completely mindful while I'm doing these videos. I'm as mindful as I can be, but again,
the
drone is in the air.
Please check it on the
Get it away from me. Go, get away. Shoo. And I'm going to go back and enable brake. I'm using brake for this one because I don't want to have an issue. I'd rather have it just brake than try to bypass or something. So right now, let me see. I'm going to make sure my brightness is all the way up. There we go. I'm going to turn my volume down a teeny bit. I'm going to fly. I'm physically watching the drone, and I can see, and I'm going to go over the treetops and kind of get to that little area where there's some color. And we'll do a few things. So right now I'm in normal mode. You can see in the upper top left corner it says N mode. I can see my histogram is good. So exposure is good. I'm on auto. So one of the things that's key for cinematic footage is, in my opinion, having it at something. You can have the Cinema 4K or you could have the regular 4K, which is going to give you a little bit more footage. But for now, I'm going to do Cinema 4K because I just kind of am getting into it a little bit. But I'm always going to keep my frame rate at 24 frames per second, ideally. So that's my go-to for cinematic footage and flying. So there's that, right? We have cinematic, 4K, 24 frames per second. So if I'm in normal mode, I have it kind of dialed down a little bit, but let's go ahead and do what we may do as a complete newbie drone pilot. Maybe we'll go here, we'll fly a little bit. Maybe we'll go we got the exposure changing as we're in auto. But you see all these little mistakes? It just doesn't look good. So that's kind of crappy. Like boom, boom, exposure shifting, really bright, go back up, it's changing, the sky's changing. So that's all kind of amateur moves, let alone, say we're in sport mode where I have everything not dialed down, but it's like, look it over here, look it over here, look it up in the sky. It's just really abrupt movements, and it just doesn't look good. So we want to avoid that. But what we can do, so let's go ahead quickly in the top upper right in the settings, those three dots, and we're going to go into control. So control, we have phone charging. I don't need that on. I was seeing if I did because I knew I was kind of low. But we're going to go into gimbal calibration. Not gimbal calibration, I am sorry. We're going to go into, where is it? Advanced settings somewhere, right? Maybe it's over here now. Okay. So they kind of changed things up a little bit. But I'm just going to show you where, so yeah, they did change this up a little bit. They put everything in the same zone, meaning the EXP settings are, or the Expo settings are in here as well. So you can see where I'm at. So it says max angular velocity. A higher value indicates a faster angular velocity of the aircraft when pushing the yaw stick left or right. So this is basically your yaw velocity. So see that? I'm going to hit the left stick left and right, meaning yawing left and right. Let's go ahead and put it at 10. Oh, I'm not in cine mode. I'm sorry. So here, let me go in cine mode. So maybe that's a little too slow. Let's keep it at 25, but that's what that does. And the smoothness will be basically when you stop, it will slow down a little bit slower or quicker based on what you have that set up as. So here, it's at 8 right now. Let's just go ahead, 8. Let's put it at 100. See that? I'm off the stick right now and it's still going. So that's, right now I'm on the stick full left and now I'm off completely. So we do not want that. I don't want that. So I'm going to put it back at 8. And now I'm going to go full stick to the right. And it's off and it kind of stops. So maybe a little bit higher. Let me see, 22. I got to do a movement and kind of see. Yeah, that may be good. I'll try it at 22 for now, but I'm not going to touch everything here. But just know, and they kind of changed all this up, so I should do a video just on this because I don't really even know. So this is gimbal control speed, so they changed everything, the verbiage up and stuff, which kind of is annoying. I don't know why they just don't leave it as is, because you get so familiar with it. But right now I'm in cine mode, which is where I want to be if I'm flying cinematically. See that? It's kind of springy. Let me fly a little bit. Let me just see. Yeah, it's nice though. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for the moment. So let's go ahead and fly cinematically for a second and actually get some footage. So what I'm going to do first is put it into manual mode. Boom. I don't have any filters on this right now, but I have it at F11. And I'm going to keep my shutter speed as low as I can. My ISO is at 100, which is where I want it. So I'm going to put it at 120 for the moment. Ideally, I have a set of filters on, and I lower it to 1/50th of a second. But for now, this is going to be good enough. So I can see the drone, and I'm in cinematic mode, and I got that kind of dialed where I want it to be. So my exposure isn't going to shift. That's one pro move. And now I can fly with a nice little more finessed movement. So I'm going to go back on the left stick. I don't know where the drone is. Where are you, little Mavic? There you are. So I'm completely clear of the treetops. And now I'm just going to follow this. I'm going to push to the right on my left stick a little bit to yaw it and turn and just kind of cruise a little bit. And now what I can do maybe is add another movement by pushing up on my gimbal and raising the camera a teeny bit. So you see, you go from that really jerky movement to, now I'm going to let off the gimbal. And that's still pretty darn nice, right? And now I'm physically watching the drone. And now I'm going to lower the drone a little bit to get closer physically to the trees, just to get a little different perspective than where I was at, and just kind of finish the shot a little bit. Well, it's actually really pretty out. So I'm glad I'm doing this to get some footage. Now, mind you, I do have obstacle avoidance still on, but I'm physically watching the drone, and I'm probably 50 feet from the top of the trees. Maybe a little less now, but pretty cool. And you don't need to do big complex movements. Okay, I'm gonna stop. There's a tree right there. I can't tell if I'm gonna clear it. Let me turn the drone around and I'll show you. So there's that tree that I'm a little bit weary of. So right now I'm in sport mode. I'm going to get out of there. I'm just going to raise straight up to get away from any kind of harm. And another thing too, cinematic wise, when you're shooting into the sun direct light, that's actually very cinematic too. So let's go ahead and get some footage. Let me see what I can do. I'm going to fly over towards the sun. There we go. Let's get some. There we go. So you see what's going on here. We'll lower it a little bit. So I'm watching the drone physically come down to the water. Yeah, there's nothing really that exciting. Sometimes you just need to turn the drone, and sometimes I'll just kind of do a little 360 in sport mode to quickly see what's going on and if there's anything that's catching my attention. But now what we can do, again, which the Classic won't be able to do, is utilize this 7x zoom. So watch this. So instantly, as a creative, we have the ability to get a different look, a different feel, a different compression, and that in itself is definitely way more interesting and way more cinematic than having one look throughout your entire video, which kind of sucks. So now I'm gonna go and adjust my exposure manually, and it says I'm minus a stop and a 3/10, but I think it looks better that way, a little bit underexposed. And now what I can do, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult, but again, I'm in cine mode, and I'm gonna try to fly and get some additional footage. And I'll put this in the intro of the video, and you can see what I'm capturing in real time and what it looks like and how decent it is or how crappy it is, or whatever. You guys can be the judge of that. But with the 7x zoom, which is really awesome, I'm so high, well, not so high, but I'm high enough that I'm completely clearing the treetops, and I can still get really cool footage. So maybe I'll go back on the right stick, and maybe I'll get the gimbal and raise the camera a little bit. I'm gonna let off a little bit on the camera and just kind of get this little reveal maybe. You don't even need really a complete reveal. You just need a little bit of sky to kind of change the look and the composition of your image or your footage. And that looks really cool. So let me see what that is. So I'm getting close to the little geozone zone.
Altitude zone
Okay,
react.
so I'm going to stop over here. But that's really pretty. So again, one big reason why, I don't know why I'm talking like this, but one big reason why I would avoid that Classic and just go big, and not even go big, you don't have to spend that much more. So, and look what you can get for another 400 bucks. You get the ability to use this second lens and get some really awesome footage that will separate your video. You get one job and you can pay for the difference. Seriously. So for the people who think it's not worth the money, easily I can make my money back by showing some footage utilizing the zoom and make it worth its while. So anyway, boom. But those are some of the technical things that you physically want to do with your drone, or you can do with your drone. But I guess I should show you my sticks and what I'm doing too. And look how far I am. Like I'm completely safe over everything. I'm gonna cruise back by where I am. And I'm gonna show you another little tip before I show you some stick stuff. I'm gonna lower the drone, which is right by me, and I'm gonna show you how you don't need to be flying super high to get B-roll footage that's cinematic or cinematic footage with your drone. So what I'm gonna do is turn off obstacle avoidance. Boom, so I can fly wherever I want. And now what I can do, there's a cool tree right here. So now I can just point the camera up a little bit, maybe. I got my exposure. Let me open up the shutter a teeny bit. There we go. And now I'm gonna keep it in the cine mode again. And I'm just gonna do a little orbit, but a low orbit. Whoop, let me get my bearing. There we go. And say we just get like a few seconds of this. Maybe you want to get closer to it. But one other thing that I didn't talk about, we're going to want to make sure we go in the camera and we want to have our grid lines enabled. See these? Boom, boom, boom. Each one of them plays a part. So if we keep them all on, I can use this little center crosshair when I'm doing an orbit, keep it right in the center of, say, this tree trunk, and use that to gauge and guide whether or not you're doing your orbit in a great way to where it's actually a centered orbit. So let me go ahead and get back a little lower. I'm going to see how low I can go. But like, look at this. We're going to go and point our camera up. And now I'm flying. I'm watching the drone because it's super close to me. So it's not really sketchy or scary. Even if this thing crashed, it's going to fall a foot onto the ground. And now I can maybe raise the camera up a little bit while I'm doing this little slow orbit. And just kind of cool. But regardless, I'm looking at a nice looking tree that has some nice light on it, and it's right by me, and you get the ability to get some cool B-roll footage with ease. And that's, again, a very cool little tip for flying cinematically and putting together an edit that is a little bit different. Now, say for example, I kept flying. I'm going to hit right now a bunch of little twigs, so I'm going to cruise forward a little bit. But now I'm going to get some good sunlight, so I'm going to go up a little so I don't fly into these branches, and I'm going to continue the orbit. First, I'm going to put that crosshair right in the center, and I'm going to go ahead and try my best. And watch this. Oh yeah. Look how frickin' cool that is. That's cinematic. But this is really cool, right? And that's because my aperture is at f11 that I'm getting that cool starburst effect. So that's one really great thing about having a more professional drone with a changing aperture, meaning one that can actually open up and stop down. And now I can just look at that. I'm zooming around the tree. Pretty good. My crosshair is centered. Boom. Oh, I'm coming so close to hitting something though. Wait. I'm going to stop. I just clipped a little teeny branch. But it's really delicate, so I knew it didn't do anything. Oh, clipped one more. Oh, that was a leaf. So let me go back into the little zone over here. I'm going to stop recording. Again, you see how important that visual is, meaning that crosshair, having those grids enabled, being in cine mode, having the right frame rate, the right aperture, meaning f11. If I didn't have this at f11, I wouldn't be getting that cool starburst effect. So here we go. Wait, let me get a little bit more. There we go. You kind of have to get into the groove. Right now I'm not in the groove. I felt out of the groove because I'm physically watching the drone. I'm talking, and there we go. I'm starting with my right stick. There we go, in the groove. In the groove, baby. A little out of the groove, but still cool. Boom. You know, and there, I'm going to follow through the movement. There we go. And that's one other tip for flying cinematically. A lot of people will stop their movements after just a few seconds. Go and continue your movement and do a nice long clip. It's going to show you can fly well. It's going to show you actually know what's up with composition. Like that little shot right there is really beautiful. Now maybe what you can do is do something like this, just fly sideways. So I'm not going to use this part of the clip, but watch. Maybe I'll use boom, boom. So we're getting another different shot. We're getting one just going straight sideways. Maybe we won't use this as long, but maybe we can just use a few seconds of this one and a little bit longer of the orbit. And we can go back one more time, and let's go and add one more movement. Here, I'm going to stop this. It's kind of fun doing this. I really enjoy teaching. I wish I could have a better platform than just YouTube, but we'll see what happens in the near future. If I can organize some kind of school teaching online course thing that I can organize. But watch this. So now I'm going to go. I can see I'm safe. Maybe I can raise the camera up a little bit while I'm doing the orbit. So that's 3 movements. If I wanted to, maybe I can start flying backwards, but that's going to be the complexity of flying better. And you do 1 or 2 axis movements, and then you work your way adding one more, like the camera, meaning the gimbal going up or down, maybe another stick movement like going backwards while I'm doing this. So let me try one more going backwards. So here. I'm going to go up too. As you see, there's a garbage can and stuff. So this is going to be creative composition and composing. I want to get that out of the frame and isolate only the beauty. So right now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go and do a little orbit. I'm going to put the camera up a teeny bit, and I'm going to fly backwards a teeny bit. Whoop. No, wait, that's not going to that's not going to work because, hold on a second, I'm going to fly into these bushes. So it's saying okay, so it's saying my SD card is full, which is odd, but maybe I need to format that. But this should be enough that I need to record. So I'm hoping this helps. I should show a little bit about how I'm sitting with my drone. Here, hold on a second. So right now you can see this is how I'm going to hold my controller. I don't thumb personally, so I'm going to go, and sometimes I even hold a little bit. I'll even kind of just hold, not even the stick, and just kind of work that little ball area, or whatever you call it. Sounds pretty darn funny. Ball area. So let me go and fly a little bit. So here. So you're going to see what I'm going to do on my stick, plural. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle, boom, cine mode. I'm going to cancel out of the low battery, but you can see sometimes I'll just not even do anything, and I'll just push with my thumb like this. Like I'm not even really holding the stick. I'm just going to tweak a little bit. Can you see? Boom. So like that. And I'm going to start recording. Or I'm not even going to start recording because I'm out of memory card. And then I can just kind of hold the one stick, and then I'll just work that little area with my thumb, and it really works pretty well. And you can see, and then I have my finger to control the gimbal, and voila. But you can see that it gives me a little bit more control for me than holding the sticks the whole time. So holding maybe one stick and then just working this little area really gives you a lot of control. So maybe try that and see if that works for you. If you want another video on solely how to maybe fly cinematically with your remote and the sticks, you let me know. I don't know if that's something that's needed, but regardless, I'm hoping this helps. And for now, happy flying. And we're gonna get the drone back because we have low battery time, low battery time.
Critically low battery.